in Spokane, Washington, Boise, Idaho, and I don't hardly heard the word India, let alone meditation. And when I first started hearing about meditation, if I even heard it, I didn't even think about it. And as I said, I wasn't for it or against it. It didn't cross my mind. And then I thought, hearing more about it, it must be a waste of time. And then I started thinking, and as I've said, it was for me this phrase, true happiness is not out there, true happiness lies within. And I would think about this, and it had a ring of truth, but it didn't say where the within was, nor how to get there. So this phrase bothered me at the same time as it had a ring of truth. Then I heard the word enlightenment, and I wondered if that was a thing that a human being could attain. What was it? And how in the world would you get that? Little by little, it dawns on me that perhaps meditation is that way to go within. And so I started getting very curious. And they say at a point like this, you become a seeker. And you start reading things, asking questions.
Meditation is an ancient practice. It's a means of gaining knowledge about reality by diving deep within oneself and exploring deeper levels of mind, deeper levels of nature, deeper levels of the laws of nature, culminating in the experience of the source of all of natural law, the unified field. That's an ancient experience and an ancient tradition of gaining knowledge, subjective means of gaining knowledge. Modern science has its own objective means of gaining knowledge, systematically exploring nature through the process of observation, measurement, and until recently there hasn't been much of a connection between modern science and this ancient means of gaining knowledge based on direct experience. But that's changing. Modern science has grown up. Modern science is more mature. Modern science now has direct access or understanding of the field of unity at the basis of life's diversity. And this field of unity at the basis of all diversity is the foundation of the meditative experience. It's the foundation of the subjective tradition of gaining knowledge. But 20 years ago, there was no understanding of unity in modern science at the basis of the universe. Some depth of understanding had already emerged. Quantum mechanics of molecules, quantum mechanics of atoms was understood. But it's only by going much deeper to the nuclear and subnuclear levels and beyond that we see the unification of all the forces, the unification of all the particles, the discovery of the unified field of natural law, the fundamental unity at the basis of life's diversity. That's where the union is between the empirical modern scientific approach and the ancient subjective approach of gaining knowledge. Both approaches have taken us ultimately to the discovery of the self-same unity.
Right about in this, looking into different forms of meditation, and when we look into different things, we size it up with whatever intuition we have. We say, is this feel correct? Is this thing right? Is that? And this. Many things we pass through and we figure it. And then my sister calls, and she said she started Transcendental meditation. And I hear a happiness in her voice. I hear a change in her voice. And she tells me about it. I put this together with what I've known from, my, reading and answers to questions. And I say, that's it. That's what I want. And I went and did it.
All you have to do is be able to think a thought. And no one ever has a problem thinking a thought. It's really a mechanical technique like that. It doesn't involve a new lifestyle. It doesn't involve belief or disbelief. All it involves is easily turning the attention within and letting go. And this is bringing up an important point. Some people hearing this might be thinking, this is really nice. I'd like to go out and get a book and try it. And you can't learn TM that way. TM is, in terms of psychology, is called procedural knowledge rather than declarative knowledge. Procedural knowledge is knowledge in doing. It's almost like riding a bicycle. If you ever had a child and you try to teach them how to ride a bike, you don't do it by telling them. keeping your balance, and this is centrifugal force, and pedal fast. You get out there and they just go back and forth, and you hold the back of their seat, and they get it. And that's how you learn the TM practice. It's always taught individually by a trained teacher. Teacher gives you a simple instruction, you have a simple experience, and then based on that you have another instruction. And what you gain is the experience of the first time of your attention going within, and just you stop doing anything. Stop controlling, stop worrying, stop management. You just let go, and you experience the mind actually transcending. Once you have that experience, and then you can go home and you can reproduce it.
Transcendental meditation technique is a technique to take our active mind, which is a very wavy ocean of activity, let the mind settle down and expand and settle and expand to experience its oceanic nature, to experience its reality as the field of universal consciousness, the level where you and I are one, and everything in the universe is one. So this experience of unity within creates profound harmony within our environment, and also has profound benefit to the individual in terms of development of intelligence and development of creativity, learning ability, academic performance, success in action, because the brain gets developed holistically and profoundly as a result of this experience of unbounded awareness. What continues to develop over months and even over years is how familiar we are with our true inner self, our own inner unbounded awareness. That we get more and more familiar with over time, to the point where we're never lost to the experience of our inner unbounded reality. When that happens, that's called enlightenment. And you can see it dramatically in the functioning of the brain. Instead of a very scattered, very decompartmentalized electrical activity of the brain, the whole brain begins to function holistically in concert. And it's that orderliness of brain functioning, or global EEG coherence, that results in this global comprehension and brings expanded awareness, global citizenship. When someone learns Transcendental meditation, it can take a day or two or several to become really comfortable and proficient with this process of diving deep within, expanding human comprehension to be unbounded in this simplest, settled, most expanded state of human awareness, pure consciousness, a fourth major state of consciousness, distinct from waking, dreaming, or sleep.
So my first meditation was very interesting. I had heard that it does produce this deep state of rest, and yet the awareness stays awake, but I wasn't sure what to expect. But what I found on my first meditation and from thereafter was an immediate settling of my whole being, and an instant access, just within minutes, to this field of great bliss, this field of great at-homeness. It was a mother-at-home feeling that permeated my whole being.
The first experience was a major surprise. Once I learned, I was taken into a quiet little room where all the meditators, each one get a little room, and I was told, sit down comfortably, close my eyes, start that mantra. I sat down, closed my eyes, started the mantra, and as I say, it was like I was in an elevator and someone snipped the cables, and just whoom, down into bliss. Dive into bliss. Dive into an experience. I say the word unique should be saved for that experience. So sublime, so familiar, but unlike any other experience. And I said to myself, I said, this is the real thing. This is so powerful, so unique. And I loved it. And such a feeling after of energy, but sublime, vibrant, blissful energy. And then it just unfolds. You dive in, every day and come out and go about your business, and the enjoyment of doing things, the appreciation of life just grows and grows.
Transcendental meditation technique is the most effective, most extensively researched technique to dissolve deep-seated stress and tension and anxiety, because the meditative experience, where the mind is completely still, is accompanied by a very still state of the body, a deep state of physiological rest, at least 3 times deeper than the deepest rest gained during sleep. And in that profound physiological rest, the body gets rejuvenated. Deep-seated stresses and tensions just naturally unwind, and you come out fresh and dynamic and clear and full of energy with a desire to achieve and enjoy life. So that's one immediate benefit: improved physiological health, relief from stress, reduction of high blood pressure and heart disease, prevention of stroke, prevention of most illness, because almost all disease is caused or complicated by stress. But in addition to improving health, which is really a side effect of the deep rest of meditation, full development of the brain is even more important to everybody, because our alertness, clarity, intelligence, creativity, bliss and enjoyment of life, these are so fundamental to life that when the brain starts to function with its full potential, full creativity, full intelligence, life is really transformed.
When you start enlivening this field of pure consciousness, bliss, negative things start to recede. And how did that manifest itself to me? 2 weeks after I started meditating, I was married at the time to my first wife, Peggy. I had an anger, but like a good, strong, deep anger. And that wasn't going away. And I took it out on her pretty much every morning. I'd wake up filled with anger. So 2 weeks after I start meditating, she comes to me and she says, "What's going on?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And she says, "This anger. Where did it go?" She noticed it before I knew it was. It's so natural, and it was gone without even trying, without noticing. It just lifted.
We found people meditating for 7 years. During TM, they look the same as someone's been meditating just for 4 months when that person is meditating. We just have in press now data looking over time, 12 months longitudinally. And we find that after 2 months practice, the new meditator is transcending as well as they do at 6 months, 12 months, as well as someone meditating at 7 years. Because this process is effortless, it uses a natural tendency of the mind. Natural tendency of the mind is what people are experiencing right now. They're tuning into this show, they're listening intently, but then they hear a song outside, or they hear their name outside, or they think about what they're going to have for dinner. And what this is a natural tendency of the mind always looking for something which is more charming. The Transcendental meditation technique uses that very natural tendency, but what it does first is it turns the attention within, and then you let go. It's a natural tendency of the mind that takes the mind to this field of inner fullness, inner effortlessness.
From the very first meditation and continuing beyond that, becoming more obvious in daily life, is that experience of timelessness and spacelessness, unboundedness, eternity.
Now, this thing about creativity, to me, it's really kind of problem solving. You get an idea, but because of growing consciousness, understanding grows. So you kind of understand more about a thing. You see deeper into a thing. This is money in the bank for a filmmaker. Perhaps because consciousness grows, you can catch ideas at a deeper level, more information in them, more depth to them, more ability to understand that idea. And the creativity part is how you translate that, how much you see and see a way to translate that to some medium. Intuition, to me, is feeling thinking. It's not just an intellectual thing. You don't say, I'm going to make a film about this, and in order to do this, I got to do this, 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 this. That's dry to me. It's heartless. It's just intellect. Intellect mixed with feeling, intuition, a knowingness, a feel, think. And the solution is there to get it to feel correct. And you work, action and reaction, it's an experiment sometimes, but you're always going back to the original idea that held so much that you saw, you smelled, you felt the mood, and you check that and find solutions to get that to be as correct as you can get it. Each element of a film as correct as you can get it. And this process is not only becomes easier, but way more enjoyable.
In any field, we demand maximum of ourselves, whether we want to give maximum love to our families and our children, whether we want to achieve maximum at work, maximum in school, maximum in interpersonal relationships. Life is all about demanding and achieving all we can, enjoying as much as we can. That's why transcendental meditation is as important to the artist or scientist or medical doctor or businessman. It doesn't matter what our particular path of activity and evolution is. Everybody wants to evolve more quickly, achieve more, develop in joy and intelligence and power. Transcendental meditation does that.
Transcendental meditation is a technique to take us from the field of any specific experience, any thought, any feeling. Experience that thought and feeling at quieter, more subtle levels, less defined, less clear, to get to the actual source of the thought. And the source of the thought is just the wakefulness, the silence, which is between and underlying all our activity. So what transcendental meditation does, it gives you the experience of the silence, which is interlocking and connecting all our specific experiences. And what you see in the brain is you see global communication, global coherence.
You hear stories about, films where no one enjoyed themselves. Maybe the film was successful, but no one enjoyed the ride. The ride is our life. Why suffer? Why not enjoy the doing? Enjoying the doing is making sure also that it's the maximum doing. If you're not enjoying, you're not tending to give so much. And you want to go home early, and you want to come in late. And you're not having a great time in this atmosphere, so you would rather be somewhere else. On the other hand, enjoying the doing, you go the extra mile. You get ideas to help. You love being there. And just that loving being there is feeding the whole thing. So this is life going by, rolling with this kind of fullness of bliss and creativity. It's beautiful.
The way to think of the brain is it's a river and not a rock. It changes with every experience. Every time you have an experience, two neurons are communicating, neural transmitters are going from one to another, and there's receptors on the other side. These receptors change hourly, depending on your ongoing experience. This idea of neuroplasticity is very empowering to everyone. It means that you can create your own reality. If you're 20 years old, whatever you want to do or be, just put your attention on that. But know that every experience changes your brain. If you stay up late, that's also changing your brain. If you choose to experience the transcendent, that's also changing your brain. It's allowing you to incorporate this inner value of wholeness along with each activity. This idea of changing of the brain was thought to just happen when you were very small, 1 year old, 2 years old. Now they find it's throughout everyone's life. So if you're 2 or 20 or 90, doesn't matter. If you sit down and transcend, your brain is going to change because it's a new experience, and the connections will just naturally begin to change. So wherever you are, you can begin to experience this greater wholeness. What we have is a technique to contact this inner field of wakefulness, and that has its own style of brain functioning. And then as you take the brain back into waking, back into focus, localized thinking, and then in this field of quiet, of restfulness, of expansion, of unboundedness, and then into focus again, what actually is happening is your brain connections are changing. And they're changing so you can integrate, you can maintain, you can have that inner field of silence that you experience during every meditation out in activity. So this is where the benefits are seen. And it's so important because you only meditate 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. That leaves 23 hours and 20 minutes in the day. And if you only had that good experience then, it wouldn't be of much use. But what happens is by taking the time out to quiet down the mind, quiet down the experience, quiet down the brain, and then come back out into activity during the day, and then again early evening, meditate again, the brain begins to integrate the two.
Artists and scientists are, respectively, experts in using the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Scientists use the left hemisphere, our analytic skills, to observe the universe very carefully and make logical inferences and experiments to slowly understand deeper and deeper how the world works. And for 300 years, modern scientific research has been analyzing the environment deeper and deeper and deeper, from the molecular to the atomic to the nuclear to subnuclear worlds, ultimately discovering the field of unity at the basis of all diversity. The artist intuits, understands the world through feeling, through finely developed emotion and perception. And a good artist will come to the same realization as a good scientist, the ultimate unity of existence. So throughout time, we've had highly developed artists and poets and sages and seers who have seen through their feeling the deep reality of unity of life. And now finally, in the objective approach of modern science, the analytical thinkers of our generation have similarly deduced the ultimate truth of the unity of existence. So there is a level of reality where artist and scientist meet, and that is at the level of unity. And by the way, the experience of unity in the meditative state is an experience where the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere unite in the completely holistic use of the entire brain, full utilization of our God-given potential.
I think it's false to think that there's an artist who doesn't think in a very sequential, logical way at some point. And it's definitely false that scientists don't go with intuition. I might be a little biased here being a scientist, but all of my great insights into looking at the data come from that same field that the creativity of the artist comes from. And then we just use the tools of science to express it, where the artist has the intuitive experience, a true intuitive picture of what he wants to do, and he uses the tools of art, of color, of shapes, of composition to bring it forth. So I think everyone is an artist and everyone is a scientist. Everyone needs to have fulfilled feeling level. Everyone needs access to the level of intuition. Everyone needs access to the skills of just giving expression to what their inner insights are.
Somebody asked Maharishi, don't you have to suffer to be an artist? And Maharishi just laughed. And in the laughter, the echo of his laughter, people start thinking, yeah, it's common sense. Now, there's this starving artist syndrome, and this is a romantic notion. There's no suffering there. It's fun to be that image of the starving artist. Suffering is, absolutely opposed to creativity. Anger, hate, tension, stress, these things just cramp that creative machine, break all the little gears, put pressure on it, and it won't run so good. Start lifting that, and you see what happens. Ideas flow, ways to realize those ideas, flowing with Mother Nature, support. You find that the going is easier, and you get way further, deeper into a thing. The more understanding, the more awareness, wakefulness, clarity, energy that you can put on that thing. And the process becomes so enjoyable. So suffering is a thing in my mind, and it seems very much common sense and an absurdity to think that the more you suffer, the better an artist you'll be. in my mind, this is the way for creativity, the creativity that creates the universe, to let that flow, with you, and you see, power.
There is extensive published research in the world's foremost scientific journals proving that this phenomenon of group meditation to dissolve collective stress is very, very effective in preventing and stopping war. The world's foremost scientific journals, like the Yale Journal of Conflict Resolution, have examined this phenomenon 52 times at least, and the experiments aren't difficult. You go to a troubled area, one of the war-torn regions of our world. You assemble a group of several hundred or several thousand meditators, volunteers from the environment, sometimes coming from the outside. They practice their meditation program for longer than the normal 20 minutes to produce as much of a peaceful influence as possible, and watch what happens within a day. More and more people wake up without the desire to wreak havoc, without the desire to injure and cause conflict, and there's a precipitous drop, at least 80%, in the number of war deaths, war injuries, the levels of conflict, as well as increased progress towards peace, profound improvements. So all of these studies that have been done, all 52 of them, have had highly statistically significant, reliable results. When you put all these experiments together, you have a scientific fact that is beyond reproach. There is more scientific evidence today that group meditation diffuses social stress and prevents terrorism and war than there is proof that aspirin reduces headache pain. It's a very extensively proven scientific fact. Now all we have to do is use the approach.
If you enliven this in the individual and negativity goes away and these positive things grow, that's the individual. The more individuals that are doing this, we're like light bulbs. We appreciate that light within, but we glow out. We affect our environment. The more people broadcasting this, coherence, harmony, love, intelligence, bliss, the more peaceful it adds up to peace, a peaceful but vibrant peace. Now, Maharishi has started a peace-creating group. Groups of meditators doing meditation and advanced techniques in a group. And because they're in a group, it's been found that the effect of broadcasting that harmony and coherence and peace, bliss, is quadratically more powerful. So if you had a group large enough, and there are people who would love to do this, who would love, because they want to go for the gold this time. They want to go for that enlightenment. And they would be happy to be peace-creating experts, to live and be together in a large group each day doing this program, enlivening so much unity, quadratically more powerful than the same number scattered about, and broadcasting this to the world. In the atmosphere, flowing golden unity. And what happens is diversity is appreciated more fully. Fully. Unity, bliss, peace, where you travel and you don't meet an enemy, you meet a friend. It's a very beautiful thing, negativity receding, just like in the individual. By the light of unity, negativity like darkness receding, diversity being appreciated fully.
One of the best ways to implement a peace-promoting group of meditating experts in society is in schools and colleges and universities. University age, college age, school age is a great time to learn to meditate because this is the time we're attempting to develop the brain and educate ourselves. And transcendental meditation is the most powerful, scientifically proven technique to develop the brain fully. But the side benefit of implementing transcendental meditation in a college or school or a university is you have groups of students who, if they meditate together, can produce this much more powerful societal effective meditation. So we're taking this idea and developing it. We are establishing a special university, a University of World Peace. in Washington, D.C., where 2,000 students and ultimately 8,000 students will gain all the skills that they need in college and all the skills for conflict resolution, but most importantly, will be developing their total brain, will be practicing transcendental meditation and advanced techniques, and radiating together a collective influence of positivity and unity and peace and coherence that will transform the atmosphere in Washington, D.C., and that will have a very positive effect on the world. The policies that come out of Washington, D.C. today, they're not always informed by this fundamental understanding of unity. They're driven by fear, by partisan infighting. And when government is driven by fear and infighting, that's the sort of policy you get when it comes to our environment, when it comes to weapons proliferation, when it comes to decisions of war and peace in the world. If we want better decisions, life-supporting decisions for a healthier, peaceful world, we have to put our government into a more life-supporting, a more peaceful environment. And that's what the University of World Peace will achieve in Washington, D.C., with positive benefits for the whole world.
This is the David Lynch Foundation for Consciousness-Based Education and World Peace. And in my mind, consciousness-based education is tied directly to world peace. Consciousness-based education is that education that develops the full potential of the student or the human being. We have education, and education is intellectual knowledge, facts, figures. Picture consciousness as a very, very tall ladder, many rungs. We find ourselves on one rung or another. Doesn't matter what rung you're on. If you can dive in and experience pure consciousness, you'll rapidly climb up that ladder. And I've seen and heard stories of this exact thing happening. Students in trouble, students in violence, and they fear going to school. It's filled with tension. They say now stress, anxiety, horror is coming to younger and younger children. And there's all kinds of people wanting to make it better, trying to make it better, thinking about this, thinking about this, thinking about this. And when you see students who have learned how to dive within and experience this field of pure consciousness, you say, that's got to be it. That's got to be it. Look at the way they blossom. Unreal. Talk to these teachers who've introduced it. I get my staff meditating, I get the teachers meditating, I get the students meditating, and watch it turn around. It's like a miracle. A miracle. It's just the self blossoming, happy, coming to school on time, getting along better with appreciation of the fellow man grows. What's the problem? Bliss grows. Bliss grows. What is I don't have a problem anymore. Problems, an ocean of solutions, greater understanding. You get the knowledge. I understand that. I understand that. Guy goes in and sees a class. He's unbelievably amazed. The teacher asks the questions, all the hands go up. They're right there. They're wide awake. They're energetic. They're right with the program, and they're happy. They're robots. They're not being robots. They're all individuals blossoming, getting more and more themselves, and self-sufficient, and glowing in consciousness. And there it is. There it is. Go get it.